Self-discipline. Let's be honest, most of us are still working on it, even though we have good intentions, put things off, and feel like we failed. But that's not necessary. Self-discipline is a skill, just like everything else. Every day won't be perfect, but even the bad days and small wins add up to progress, which is what self-discipline is all about. But don't worry, because in today's video, we will be taking a look at the top 5 tips to start actively disciplining yourself. And if you like our videos, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get notified with our latest uploads. Make your bed. You might be thinking, what does it matter if I make my bed in the morning or not? And the answer is, it makes a huge difference. The thought process behind it is simple but very powerful. Admiral McRaven, a Navy SEAL, gave an epic speech at the University of Texas's graduation ceremony. As the title says, he is the most well-known person to talk about how making your bed every day can change the world. McRaven used to be an admiral in the US Navy. He was in charge of the US Special Operations Command. He also wrote the best-selling book, Make Your Bed, which you should read. The reasoning behind it is simple. If you get up every morning and make your bed, you've already done your first thing. You just finished the day's first task. This will make you feel good about yourself and make you want to do more and more tasks. Making your bed every day will teach you that the small things in life are important, and that if you can't do the small things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. So where do you begin if you want to change yourself? You start with the things you do. The first thing you did to turn your life around was to start making your bed every morning. Behavioral psychology can learn a lot from it. You can make making your bed a habit that sticks. With this, you can find the plan for adding habits to yourself, which means you can add more habits. And this may seem like a small thing to find out, but when you look back at it 2 years later, it's almost funny how different your life is. Most of what makes us who we are is based on our habits, and just like some people who collect baseball cards, you collect the habits of great people. Whether it's meditation, exercise, learning a new language, or writing in a journal, each new habit you pick up is a building block that will change who you are in the long run. Do you want to have a good life? Then maybe you should start doing things that make you healthy and happy, like going to the gym, making your bed, or meditating. Reflect on why the goals you set are your goals. Your life is made up of different stages that last for days, weeks, months, and years. How do you keep track of how far you've come toward your life goals? Do you even have a few goals in life that you are working towards? How do you look back on your life and think about your goals, not just your daily tasks? As we get closer to the end of 2016, we should look back and think about the good and bad times. Some people might remember the most recent election, no comment, that great trip you took with your partner, or a sad time when a family member died. In all honesty, looking back at the past year helps set the tone for the next year and gives positive feedback on what was done. Instead of looking at the bigger picture, many of us tend to focus on the bad things that could happen, like what-ifs, judgments, and small setbacks. Don't think about the bad things. Instead, think about how far you've come and the small goals you've reached. You may not have reached your goal 100%, but getting 65% of the way there is still a step in the right direction. That should not be overlooked. What have you learned so far, and what can you take into the next year? Please leave a comment because we can all learn from each other. Write down your goals. When you were in school, you probably took a lot of notes. Why? Because it helped me remember things. But why is it so helpful? Writing takes place on 2 main levels, encoding and external storage. Now, external storage is the piece of paper on which you've written down your goal. You will put your list of goals somewhere you will see them every day. This will help you remember them every day. That's one reason why taking notes helped you remember so much in school. You could look at the notes and remember the lesson right away. When you start coding, things get much more interesting. When we see something, our brains do something called encoding. The information is sent to the hippocampus, where it is analyzed. This is the part of the brain where the brain decides what to keep in long-term memory and what to throw away. The brain will have to sort through a lot of information when making a choice. How does it know what you find important? Well, if you write it down, your mind will give it more weight. So it's more likely to stick with you and stay in your mind. Neuropsychologists call this the generation effect, and they've found that people remember things they've made or done better than things they've read. So if you've read about Egypt in a travel guide and then thought about going there, your brain might remember. But if you then take that travel guide and write down the most important points in your own words, your brain knows that this information is more important than what you just read. Since the mind knows you want to pay more attention to it, it will be more likely to remember it later. This effect can be made even stronger by adding pictures, making links between goals that are related, etc. You could draw an Egyptian flag on the sheet, or find a piece of papyrus to put on it. So you can not only use your eyes, but also your senses of smell and touch. And if you want to remember something better, the more senses you can use, the better. Stay consistent with your goals and progress will come. When you write down your goals, you can see them because the goals become real. When you write down your goals, you are more likely to think about them and feel connected to the result you want to achieve. Your life will change if you start writing down your goals. When you make a daily plan to reach those written goals, your life will change. Every day, you'll make real progress if you decide to reach your goals first thing in the morning and then review your performance goals at the end of the day. But many people don't have a plan for their day. They haven't thought about what they want to achieve and written it down. They don't stay clear and on track to reach their goals because they get sidetracked. In this article, I'll talk about how important it is to set goals and how important it is to write them down. This will help you set goals that will move your business and life forward every day. The best way to set goals and reach them is to write them down and then focus every day on reaching those goals. This simple way of thinking about your goals will help you have a productive day every day and focus your time and energy on the few things that really matter. Putting your goals on paper doesn't have to take long, but it should be an important part of your morning routine. Write down your goals and put them up somewhere. What leaders of all kinds want most is not just for their groups to stay alive or do well in a single moment, but for them to keep going. Their highest goals look at the big picture. Their day-to-day choices, on the other hand, usually don't. It's important to look at the big picture, but you can't put it off and say you'll do it one day. Its most important job is in the present. The long view should be a part of every decision and action you make every day, even when you're thinking about someday. Rebel leadership cultures stay around and become more important by making the long view matter in the here and now. How should things be right now for the long view to matter? Google is a good example of a trend among companies that are doing well in the volatile, uncertain, complex, and unclear times in which we all work and live. Even though the company was at the top of its game and the market in 2013, Google decided to look into the facts and find out what they really knew about their own success and how to keep it. The project was called Project Oxygen. Google had some ideas about why they were doing so well when they started, and one of them was that having a strong team of engineers was important. You have to realize that even pausing to ask, how do we know what we know, when they are doing well is the exception to the rule. It's also an example of how to make the long term important in the present. We hope you enjoyed our video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get notified with our latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon on a brand new upload.